Good morning and Shabbat Shalom, everyone. The opening verses of this week's Torah portion say, "See, I've placed before you today a blessing and a curse." So it begins with the verb see, I've placed before you a blessing and a curse. But then the very next verse says, the blessing is when you will listen to the commandments of God. So first you must see, and then you must hear. What does it mean to see and hear? You know, there's an expression that people say when they're talking to someone. They say, do you see what I'm saying? What do they mean when they say, do you see what I'm saying? Someone said that there are 5 levels of listening. The first level is not listening, just not listening to what someone's saying to you. The second level is going up, that you act like you're listening, you pretend like you're listening, but you're really not listening. The next level, number 3 going up, is a partial listener. You're listening, but not listening, partially listening. The 4th level going up is you're actually listening to every word the person's saying. Then the question is, what's the 5th level? If the 4th level is already someone who's listening to every single word. And the answer is that you're not just listening to the words, but you're listening with empathy, with feeling, which means you're not thinking about yourself as you're listening. You're thinking about the other person and really trying to put yourself in the other person's shoes and understand what the person's saying. And that's what it means. Do you see what I'm saying? Not just hearing what I'm saying, but actually see me, feel me, connect with me, understand what I'm really saying. And this is what the Torah says, that the key to a blessing is to see what is being heard, to not just listen with your ears, but to listen with your heart. In Yiddish, there's a word called heron, which means hearing. And then there's der heron. Der heron means to internalize what you're hearing. Yesterday we were in Atlanta. We went to the largest aquarium built by Bernie Marcus, and there's actually a mezuzah on the door of the opening of the aquarium. Bernie Marcus spoke to our teens once in the synagogue, and he said it's the only aquarium in the world that actually has a mezuzah on the doorpost. And when you look at fish, 100,000 fish in this aquarium, fish are very tranquil, they're very peaceful, they're swimming around calmly. But you know, Jacob, when he blessed his grandchildren in the land of Egypt, he said they should be like fish in the sea. Why fish in the sea? Because fish, on the one hand, is to be a kosher fish. In this week's Torah portion, you have to have fins, you have to be ambitious, you have to be integrated in the world, you have to be creative. God wants us to go out in the world and build and influence the world like the fins of the fish. But at the same time, they need scales, they need protective gear, thick skin to shield them from the outside influences. And therefore Jacob says to his grandchildren, you're in the land of Egypt, a very sophisticated, advanced country at the time, the influence, the superpower of the world. And yes, you should be involved in running the world and the country, but remember to have your protective gear, which is your Jewish traditions and observances. And that's what Jacob blesses his grandchildren. Yes, be in Egypt, but at the same time, remember who you are as a Jew. And just like a fish cannot exist outside of water, it must have the right environment of the water to stay alive. So too, we Jews need our Jewish environment to remain Jews within the world. Indeed, you know, when you take a fish out of water, it starts flipping and flailing and jumping. And if you didn't know, you would say, look how excited the fish is. Look how happy the fish is. He's having so much fun. But really, it's gasping for air. And many times I look at our society and I say, people are jumping and, you know, clubbing and doing all this stuff, running and doing all these adventurous things. Are they really happy? Or they're just like the fish out of water that's flailing for air? Tonight we begin the month of Elul. The month of Elul is the month that our rabbis say is an acronym for I am unto my beloved and my beloved is unto me. And our rabbis use the metaphor of the king is in the field. God is right here in nature, looking for us to come to him, to connect with him, to have a relationship with him. And sometimes when we're in the big city, so to speak, with all the noise and all the fast-paced life, we don't listen to the most important voice in our lives, which is the voice of our very own soul. And that's what this month of El is. Tune out the news and tune in to our soul. Plug out from all the devices and plug in to your real self. Take time to listen to your soul, to your godly voice, to connect with God during the month of Elul as we prepare for the high holidays. We're here in the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains in nature, connecting as a family, also with our own selves, the tranquility, the peace. And I'm reminded of a story about this young boy who every day would go out into the forest. And his father said to him, "Where do you go every day?" And he said, "I go to talk to God." And the father said to the young boy, "Well, you know, sonny boy, God is everywhere. The same God that's out in the forest is the same God here at home. You don't have to go out into the forest to talk to God. God is here." And the young boy said to his father, "Daddy, I know that God is the same everywhere, but I'm not the same everywhere." Take time for yourself, wherever it is, whether it's the day of Shabbat, the day of peace and tranquility, or whether it's coming into the synagogue to pray. However you find time and a place to be yourself, like the fish in the water, go into your most wholesome natural habitat and environment. Disconnect from all the noise of the outside world. Learn to listen to others with empathy, but most importantly, to listen to yourself with empathy and love for yourself and for your inner voice, the voice of your godly soul. Have a Shabbat Shalom.